Does anybody want to start off saying something funny?
Well, you're usually the one that does that. It's always a surprise for me, Brandon. Last time, we did it a cappella, and then so you got to lead us into this.
You guys ever watch the Joel Schumacher Batman movies and notice how Batman Forever is actually a good movie?
It's not that bad. Nicole Kidman is amazing in that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Batman movies. Bat credit card, more like. What are those nipples doing there? Am I right?
This is how we're opening this episode?
Yep.
All right.
I don't like the nipples.
You talking about Nicole Kidman's or Batman's?
Batman.
There you go.
Okay, that's cool.
This is such a weird way to open this episode.
Yeah, let's do a different one.
Okay,
Just kidding. Welcome everyone
Nope.
to Stacked Episode 4, the movie podcast about our ultimate triple features where we debate, share, and vibe with each other. That was a really horrible explanation. We'll get more into it later. I'm your host as always, Ethan, joined with...
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Chris.
And we're here. We're now 3 episodes in because we're recording the 4th one. Okay? Okay?
Yeah.
I got the math right. I got my chalkboard.
Not on the disagree counter.
Shut up. Nobody has to know that. God damn it. And yeah, we're here. 4 episodes. Episode 4 now. Episode 4 right now. We're recording episode 4 right now.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Your whole podcast is kind of crazy. We're talking about movies on the internet. Wow.
I just can't believe we've made it this far.
I honestly think we will break up by episode 5 or 6, but let's just keep riding this train until oh, you agree. Yay. Anyways, today's topic of the show is it's going to be a fun one, listeners, viewers. I'm not going to do another viewer gag. I'm going to start catering to the listeners, just in case this ever gets moved to more other platforms where you can't see this thing right here, or this thing, or that thing over there. I'll figure out what those things are when I edit this episode. But this episode, this is a very special episode. Not really. It's just going to be a fun one. Today we're talking about guilty pleasure movies. Now, boys, did we have a fun time making our stacks this episode?
Yeah.
Just yeah. Oh, okay.
All right, cool.
I mean,
Fine.
no. I mean, I did. I mean, at first I wasn't sure what to pick, but this was a much smaller pool of movies for me. Because like I had a struggle trying to figure out what guilty pleasure really meant. And I narrowed it down to 3 movies, and I almost had one sneak in there from something I watched this week, but it didn't. So
Yeah, I think one thing we had to clarify with each other when we decided this is the theme is that the films that we were picking are not films that we genuinely like, but these have to be like trashy movies that are enjoyable for that aspect of them,
right?
Rather than not movies that I think are good, even though the film culture might not agree with that.
Yes.
So yeah, it's more so enjoying bad movies, I guess.
no, yeah,
We're enjoying some schlock. We're not giving unpopular opinions.
right.
We know these things are stinky little turds, but god damn it if we don't have the best time watching these movies. So before we get into it, I'll just I'll run down what the show's all about and what we do. So once a week, we set a topic or theme and go our separate ways to construct our own 3-film stack. Then after a week, we come back here on the podcast and share our own stacks 1 film at a time, round robin. Then at the end of the show, we mix and match our 9 films to make the ultimate decision on what quintessential 3-film stack we are checking out at this hypothetical video store. All right. I'm nailing that. I'm really nailing that intro.
You took one pause, but you did a good job.
The listeners won't know. I'm going to use my...
Listeners, for the last couple episodes, Ethan has struggled to get that line down. Like, it takes like 4 or 5 attempts, but he finally got it in 2.
Shut up. Shut the hell up. They didn't need to know that. They don't need to know the movie magic that I'm doing.
Expose Ethan. Hashtag expose Ethan.
God damn it. Anyways, so yeah, that's how we're doing it. That's this show. It's happening right now. Wow. If you like it or not, you're listening. Don't click away. I swear to God, do not click off the video. Do not do it. Do not do it. We're starting the conversation right now. Okay. First up, Chris, you are running through this video store. All the shelves are running past you. You're running like Sonic the Hedgehog. You're saying to yourself, "This is fucking amazing. I'm running so fast." You see a movie at the corner, you're like, guilty pleasure movie. You stop. What is that movie?
My movie, the first movie, is a 2009 film starring Kevin James, Paul Blart, Mall Cop.
Ooh. Oh my God.
Now, oh wow, how do I explain this movie? So it stars Kevin James as this very awkward, overweight, like down on his luck police officer who becomes a mall cop for a night. And it just so happens that night his mall is being robbed by some hooligans, I guess. I don't know what else to call it. I would not call them terrorists. They were riding around on skateboards and shit. But yeah, it's a fun movie. If you like jokes, like very lowbrow humor, you know, like fart jokes, dumb, like just like Kevin James falling over, crushing people. But it is hilarious just watching him like mow down people on his freaking, like, what is it, like
a Segway?
Segway, yeah, mowing people down on a Segway. But he's also a bit of a badass in this movie too. But then again, you know, it's an awful movie, but it is so much fun just to like kick back with some popcorn and just like watch the chaos unfold. And Kevin James is just, I don't know, Kevin James, he just does it for me. I don't know what it is. I mean, he's a great actor.
He's your Rebel Wilson.
Yeah, he is amazing. I would love to see him. You know what? I think one day he's gonna pull an Adam Sandler and come out with like an Uncut Gems, and no one's gonna see it coming.
Well, he was supposed to. There was this Nazi one that came out this year where he was like playing a Nazi, and that
Becky.
was supposed to be Becky. It was supposed to be
Kevin James as a Nazi who gets what he deserves.
Yeah, exactly. That was supposed to be his Uncut Gems moment, but nope. Not a good movie, apparently.
Oh.
All right. Well, what do you guys think of this movie?
I'm so glad you brought up this movie because we forgot to talk about what we watched this past week.
Yes, exactly. And I realized that just now.
So I haven't seen the first Paul Blart, but I just watched Paul Blart 2. And I did a very special screening this week. I don't know if many of you know, but there's this podcast called Till Death Do Us Blart, where every year they rewatch Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, and they do like a really long analysis of the film, and they come back each year rewatching the film, like sharing with each other like what new insights they have on the film. And one year, someone figured out that Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, like the movie The Wizard of Oz, it syncs together really well with Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Right? So my roommates, Ben and Luca, they came over to my place in Utah because we're all from Utah, and we got fucking baked.
Amazing.
We tossed on this movie and synced it to Dark Side of the Moon, and let me tell you, that almost made it onto my list, but I feel like I should save that movie for another topic that we've discussed that for down the road, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But this Paul Blart character, this character is so insane, especially if you watch it with Dark Side of the Moon. You realize that like he's not a Kevin James bumbling idiot. He's a real tortured character that like has real problems with how he's seen and how he wants to protect himself, his community, and his family, you know?
Yeah, that was like one of the like I mean, granted I went into this movie years ago with like all the expectations of like Kevin James is like just going to be a bumbling idiot, and as much as he is, like, yeah, Ethan, there is like a little aspect to it of, there's a slight down to earth humanity to this guy. I can see Brandon wanting to punch me in the face right now for saying that, but but no, like Ethan, like you're right. There is something under there. As one dimensional as this movie is, there's a little hint of a third dimension behind those puppy dog eyes of Kevin James.
But that's probably why this makes it such a good guilty pleasure movie, because through all this schlock, there's a diamond in the rough of this character of Paul Blart, this tortured character, mall cop, who loves his job but faces ridicule every single day, but overcomes it with his pride for his family and his loved ones. You know, he's a hero. Yeah. Paul Blart is a hero.
Yeah, that's true. Brandon, do you have any input on this conversation?
I haven't seen Paul Blart in a few years, quite a few years actually, probably since like early 2010s, so like a decade almost, because it came out in like late 2000s, right?
Yeah.
2009, you said? That movie, it's very painful for me to watch, because I remember the first time I watched it as like a kid, I actually do think there is a bit of heart to this movie. I won't disagree with you on that. I think like
you gave it 2 stars. You gave it 2 stars.
Yeah, that's what the heart is there. It's just it's so on the nose and generic and painful to watch because of the humor that I just can't get behind it. But I totally get where you're coming from. It's awesome to see him mowing down guys with this segue. Like he's this unlikely buffoon who just manages to take down this terrorist organization.
Oh my god.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's hilarious movie.
All right. This is a very strong start to our guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm liking this so far. Brandon, hit us with your number 1.
You guys hear this?
What is that?
A little shake, a little rattling. Battleship. I love this movie. Yes. Great movie.
2012 action film. I did not want to see this movie at all. And then I was following podcasts way back, like 2013, 2014. And they were doing, I think Your Movie Sucks. Not Your Movie Sucks. Something about The House of Flop. That was what it was called. And they watched Battleship, and I was like, wow, like maybe it's like a good movie, because they made it out to seem like it was better than it was. And it's actually terrible, but I love it so much because this is a movie that takes parts of the board game and puts them in the movie when they shouldn't be in the movie, like the alien, because it's an alien invasion movie, right? And they put the aliens shoot the pegs from the Battleship game that are real explosives into these ships, and it's like, you know how in the game, like they shoot you when you shoot things, one peg won't sink the boat. Well, it takes like 4 pegs to sink one of the battleships, just like in the game. It's a great movie. It's ironically fun. Brooklyn Decker's in it for some reason. Taylor Kitsch plays this macho man trying to get the girl.
Oh yeah.
Liam
Neeson's daughter. Yeah, Liam Neeson's daughter in that movie.
His real daughter? Not the one.
Brooklyn Decker plays.
There's just so much that's insane about this film that I could probably spend a full podcast like The House of Flop did analyzing it, because like there's so much craziness to it. They get veterans from an old-timey battleship.
Oh, dude.
Real veterans?
So
yes, real veterans to destroy the aliens.
Yeah, they go. Brandon, I actually have like a fun story about this. So 2012, right? I was going to go see a movie with some friends. Now, this movie came out the same time as a favorite of the 3 of us, the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So my friends and I did a double feature. that day. My first double feature ever at a movie theater. Now, one of my friends, she had something to go do, so she could only stay for one, and she chose Battleship, so she never saw Avengers.
Oh my god.
But no, like I remember watching this, because I obviously I fell in love with Avengers, but when I watched the movie, I was genuinely surprised at like how stupidly fun it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brandon said, like the board game being integrated into the movie is so fun. There's a whole scene where like they're watching like the boat, the alien boat move on the radar, and they have to predict where to drop the bomb.
No!
And they're like A3, drop the bomb. Boom. And then like it's so funny. Like Rihanna is in the movie, by the way.
Boom.
She every like 10 minutes she just goes into the mic and goes boom.
Really?
And, yeah, she literally, there's a sound effect if you search online, Rihanna boom. It's so funny.
I'll add it right here.
Boom.
Yeah.
There it is.
But yeah, it's so great. Yeah, and as Brandon said, the scene with the veterans. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this without spoilers. Basically, our main character, they're down on their luck. Should I do it? Should I just
Battleship? Yeah, I don't care.
Fuck it. Okay, here. All right.
Yeah.
So
Spoil my movie, Chris. It's fine.
Basically, our main character, he actually doesn't work on a battleship. He works on this boat called a destroyer.
What?
Destroyers are like smaller, but more. What's the word? Like they destroy more.
Weaponized.
They're destroyer.
They're heavier. Their weapons are heavier. Anyway, they get messed up by the aliens, so they have to go back to shore and get help. But there are no boats left because the aliens bombed the entire military.
They did a Pearl Harbor.
Everyone. They did a Pearl Harbor. And the only thing left is this battleship from like World War II or whatever that got turned into a museum, and the veterans run it now. So they go over there and they're like, "Captain, I need to borrow your boat." And then they play Thunderstruck by AC/DC. It's hilarious.
They knock over all of the prop like items on the ship, like that were used because it's now a museum.
It's like a museum.
Yeah. And it's amazing because it's like, why are these old men like doing this? And they're like, for our country. And not only that, this movie is a Pearl Harbor movie. Like it takes place in Hawaii. The Japanese are there. They help them out, and it's like making up for that. It's so weird.
Yeah,
it is.
It's like a redemption story for World War II. I honestly, I would. This is a great like movie night movie. Like, you just want to check it out with your friends. Amazing, great choice.
Don't forget Brooklyn Decker and the one or the veteran who's like needs her help, or vice versa. They both need each other's help to disable alien technology on the Hawaiian cliffs, and he has prosthetic limbs. He uses one to beat an alien. I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think he literally like rips his leg off and just beats the shit out of an alien with it.
And with advanced technology, this alien is, and he's taken down by Brooklyn Decker and this guy with one leg.
Do the aliens also look like little peg people?
No,
they look like little cylinder little men.
What do they look like? How would you describe they look? They kind of look like
they're like fish. Like their faces are like fish, but they have like spiky like beards.
Yeah, you know, like I don't know if you guys played Halo. It's like the brutes from Halo. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I've never played Halo, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. But yeah, great choice, Brandon. That is a great movie. Well, like for all the wrong reasons, but
for all the wrong reasons.
Ew, these guys are real meatheads. I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put a picture up right now.
They wear masks throughout the entire movie, and then there's only occasional points where they show their faces because like they can't be in sunlight for some reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sticks in my mind, and I haven't seen it in years, but I own the movie, and I'm a big fan of the board game. So that's my number one.
Huge fan. Is that your favorite board game?
No, Monopoly is my number one.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm shocked how fast you were able to pull that out. I don't think I can even name my favorite board game.
Candyland.
Cluedo's kind of good.
Clue's too complicated.
Clue's good. Maybe Parcheesi. Parcheesi's probably my favorite.
Oh,
Mousetrap.
Telestrations is fun if you're with the right friends.
That's true.
Yeah, that's
Cards
probably.
Against Humanity. That's not a board game. All right.
Yeah, those aren't really board
Ethan.
games. Okay. Anyways. All right. So my first one. None of you have seen it, but I've tried to get you two to watch it. It's
Oh boy.
it's a 2007 film. I think one of my favorite genres of films are animated films that are cheap ripoffs of like larger established films that come out the same year, you know?
Yeah, like Olympus Has Well, not just like when a film copies another movie, like Olympus
Mm.
Has Fallen and White House Down.
No, it's like it's so clear that they're trying to like these are like bootleg movies that like try to trick people into buying these ones instead of the real ones.
Oh, I know what you mean.
So there's like a Kung Fu Panda one, you know?
Yeah,
There's like a Barnyard one, I think.
like
So
Asylum stuff.
yeah, but none of them compare to 2007's copy of Ratatouille called Ratatouille.
I've seen that. Ethan, I've seen that.
No, you haven't. You're a liar.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah. Ratatouille is one of the greatest experiences you can ever have watching an animated film.
Convince us.
It's got drama. It's got cooking. It's got fine food. It's got the worst voice acting I've ever seen. There's a weird connection to me and these voice actors in this movie. So, as some of you close to me may know, I'm a big Sonic fan. I'm wearing a Sonic the Hedgehog shirt right now. Look at that. But many Sonic voice actors actually voice some of the rats in this movie. So we got Mike Pollock, who's the voice of Dr. Eggman, voices a rat in this movie. A rat who always says, "Precisely!" That's like his catchphrase. Lisa Ortiz, who voices Amy Rose, voices a rat. And Dan Green, who voices Knuckles the Echidna, voices a rat. But this has some of the weirdest animation choices. Like, I don't know if it's motion capture, but it's like also stiff. It's nothing like Ratatouille, by the way. So it takes place in Brazil, where Marcel Toing, that's his name, the Toing and Ratatouille.
Okay, wait. Are we just gonna slide past that? Like that's not the funniest last name ever.
The Ratatouille is the name of the restaurant, but it's also the last name of Grand Chef Marcel Toing. I wish I had the last name of Toing.
That's a great last name.
Ethan Toing. Where everyone in the city, they never call it Rio de Janeiro. You clearly know because they show the Jesus statue, but they just call it in this city, the city. He has the finest food in all of the city for rats. And these jealous old people get they plot to destroy Ratatouille by it's been a while since I've seen it, but there's like a cat involved. So Ratatouille, to get his ingredients, he and his friends, they like become super spies and they raid kitchens to get the ingredients, right? So there's this great sequence of them suiting up, and for some reason, every so often, it's just a white screen, and they all just run in different directions, and like the voice actors going.
Did you write this movie?
I probably wrote this movie like when I was blackout drunk or something like that. But it's such a good time. If you love cooking, if you love Ratatouille, you got to check it out. I think it's free on YouTube. The only way my friends and I watched this movie back in high school, someone, you know, the Nut Shack, the show.
You know, that sounds familiar, but I don't.
It was a show, and there's this meme going around where it's the intro to the show, The Nut Shack, but every time they say the Nut Shack, it's like the "We Are Number One" thing, you know?
Oh.
Every time they say Nut Shack, something happens. So we watched it where every time they say Nut Shack, the entirety of Ratatouille plays. And that's the only way we found this movie in English. That's the only way we found like a way to watch it. So we would just watch it. We'd watch it once. And it's just a great memory of my friends discovering this movie. We discovered it after we found Elf Bowling. It was like recommended to us, Elf Bowling the movie. So we were like, we gotta watch this. Like, there's no other way. Like, we gotta watch it. It's like 1 a.m. We're like, we gotta watch it. And we watched it. And our lives have been changed forever.
You guys better have Happy Elf on your list. That's all I'm saying.
Fuck no, I hate Happy Elf. But what do you guys think about Ratatouille? Would you give it a shot?
To watch it,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd give it a go. I mean, like I've seen my fair share of dumb like rip off like bootleg but not even the real thing movies. And they're always fun because you just kind of compare it to the real thing. But I mean, like even like the way you described Ratatouille, I can't even say it without laughing. Ratatouille. It sounds like a movie that stands on its own.
Yeah.
Ratatouille is like one of those movies you go to Goodwill and you find it in their movie bin for like $2.
It is. Or you just find it on the gutter for free. And you just clean off the dirt and slap it into the DVD player and then just enjoy a good night of some Ratatouille.
Yeah, but Chris, you like
so
that.
Good.
We'll check it out next time we're back in town.
We gotta check. Yeah, we gotta check it out when we're watching together. All right, so that's my number one. Chris, hit us with a number two.
Okay, number two. This is a movie. This is definitely a movie. It's a 1997 film. It features one of my favorite characters in all of fiction. This was a movie that ended this character's movie career for a long time until it was rebooted. Brandon, you saw this movie recently for the first time. It's 1997, Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin.
Oh my God.
Wow, what a movie. So many things wrong with this movie. It would be much easier just to count the things that are right about it, and even then it's limited.
Do it.
But I got nothing. The editing's fine.
Done.
I don't know.
That's my cue.
But yeah, okay, how do I start? I mean, yeah, for God's sakes, like the movie starts with a really like weird montage of Batman and Robin suiting up, but we see like their dick plates and their ass cheeks and their nipples.
That scene goes on too long.
Yeah, in addition to, of course, like their like the prongs on the side of their arm and their cowls and everything and their masks. So like, and then when they get to the Batmobile, it's this epic moment, right? You got this music building, you got the fog, you got the lighting, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like it's coming to a swelling peak. And then out of nowhere, Chris O'Donnell, horrible miscast by the way, as Robin says, "I want a car. Chicks dig the car." And then Batman says, "This is why Superman works alone." Played by George Clooney, by the way, which is really weird.
He wanted to buy a new house, I assume.
Yeah. And the movie just goes on. I mean, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I can tell he's having a little bit of fun with himself. I think to a bit of shame, but he's having some fun. He's dropping puns left and right. My favorite one is when he bursts into a party and everyone's panicking and he's like, "Hey, everyone, chill." And then he freezes them. Uma Thurman, I think she was nominated for an Oscar like just a year or two ago before this movie.
I thought you were going to say for this movie. I was like, no, I don't think so.
Movie, yeah. I mean, like she literally makes every scene she's in turn into like the first 5 minutes of a porn. And it is hilarious and painful at times. Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. Take it or leave it. It's fine. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the movie's just such a weird, like, amalgamation of everything, like, that is misinterpreted about The Dark Knight. And it's just, like, so, like, weird, bizarre, and, like, outlandish. But I will say, at the very least, I get the biggest laugh out of watching this movie. Every little misstep this movie makes is hilarious. Whether it's, like, the weirdest dialogue or the most outrageous like narrative step, it's 2 beats to the left or 2 beats too far on the right. It's never where it should be, but it's hilarious because of that. I don't know, what's your guys' input on this movie?
Isn't it great that the first comic book movie mentioned on this podcast is Batman and Robin?
I just realized
the first movie in the step. The first time it was Recess for first animated film. These milestones, and now it's Batman and Robin for first comic book movie. My God, I don't necessarily think that Batman and Robin like misunderstands what Batman is. I think it's bringing in the wrong Batman at the wrong time. It's trying to recapture the magic of like the Adam West 1966 show, you know, which I love. The movie, I love that 1966 movie. It's super fun and just corny, you know. But it knows what it wants to be, and it works perfect in the time. But there's no way you can take that corniness to the 90s and mix that with like this grunge neon, you know. It's so gross. It's such a gross looking movie. It's ugh.
Yeah, like I think you're right. It tried to recapture that like kind of cheesiness, but like, you know, not necessarily like bad cheesiness, but something different.
Yeah.
But it tried to like amalgamate it with like Tim Burton's like gothic neon kind of, you know, weirdness.
Whenever there's a normal scene of lighting in this movie, it looks like it's a like soap opera. So
Yeah.
like there's the scene where
it does.
When he's fighting Poison Ivy and Bane grabs him from behind or whatever, it looks like it was like shot on TV, shot for TV rather.
I forgot Bane's in this movie.
Yeah, speaking of which, Bane, oh my god. They turned him into like a what the fuck was
He's
that?
not even a character. He's just like this weird monster man, which is like Bane's one of the most like intelligent characters in all of Batman's rogues gallery. And they just turned him as like this kind of guy, you know? And
that sounded just like him.
Bomb.
Okay, was he hard? What's harder to understand? This version of Bane or Tom Hardy speaking as Bane?
I'm going to say at least Tom Hardy was trying to say words. But then again, I mean, the Joel Schumacher Bane, he's just doing grunts, and I can understand those perfectly.
There you go.
Tom Hardy's Bane is actually trying to speak. So maybe Joel Schumacher's takes the cake for this one. This Battle of the Banes. Another fun fact about this is like, this is probably one of the films that I've seen the most, but only the first 10 minutes. I remember I loved the Mr. Freeze museum fight as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'd toss that on, and immediately after that, I'd always like knock myself out and go to sleep because the rest of the movie is such a bore. Like I remember that those first few minutes perfectly clear, but I can't tell you. Like there's a telescope, I think. Brandon, you just
at the end, the big.
Brandon just watched this.
Yeah.
In honor of Joel Schumacher, I watched his 2 Batman movies, which I had never seen. And I actually kind of enjoyed Batman Forever. It almost made my guilty pleasure list. I think that movie is actually, if you're looking at it purely from a comedic perspective, I think it succeeds on all fronts. However, as a Batman movie, it fails. So, also the casting's off in that movie too. But
Val Kilmer's hilarious.
He's so flat. He and Nicole Kidman are like in a different movie from Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones. But getting back to Batman and Robin,
right?
That movie is so painful to watch. Another one, Chris, where it's like there are parts of it where they're like it's really funny because Arnold is just giving it his all. But the plot for that movie is so dense and all over the place that it's like really hard to watch. Like Alicia Silverstone's in that movie. She plays this Batgirl character who's apparently Alfred's niece, who he never told anybody about.
Yeah, Batgirl is Alfred's niece, apparently.
Right, and like Alfred's dying in this,
and he has the same disease as Mr. Freeze's wife out of nowhere.
What?
You see, he doesn't remember.
I don't remember jack shit. Oh my god.
And that's the fair amount of the movie. It's a fair amount of the movie, Ethan, because it's like it's surprising to me that like I've heard so much about this movie, and usually when I hear a lot about a movie that's either so bad it's good or just a guilty pleasure movie, like usually most of the movie is entertaining, but just like it's terrible because the writing's bad. But this one was just so painful. Like
it's exhausting to watch.
Yeah, because there are sequences like what I expected. Like every action scene in this movie is hilarious. Like everyone. And then every plot point in between feels like it's trying to get to the next action scene. And it's terrible. Well.
Yeah. I think like much of like this is for me, Brandon, this is kind of like my battleship for you. It's like not great, but it's so much fun, at least for me. And like you said, like I could spend hours just like dissecting every little part of this fucking movie. Everything down to like the way George Clooney says I'm Batman, which is awful, by the way.
He's so flat too. He's worse than Val Kilmer was.
Wait,
Yeah, and just like,
don't they dress up like gorillas in this movie?
yeah. They do.
Well,
yeah,
Poison Ivy does.
Poison Ivy does. Yeah.
Oh, and Bane does. I thought Batman and Robin do.
Again, no, but like the credit card, like it was like 7 million. Cha-ching! And it's like, wait.
I'm glad we started out the episode like that. I didn't know it was going to be on somebody's list. We were just talking about Batman, and I just pulled out that joke. So awesome.
All right. Yeah, that's my number 2.
That is a great addition to this podcast. All right.
Yep.
Brandon, you want to hit us with your number 2?
Yeah, my number 2.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I do. No, I don't have it with me, but my I have my third one, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
I went with action for my first one, and I wanted to mix it up with everyone I got. So the last one I have is something else other than this, but I did horror for this one, and we've seen it together at a movie night. That is the 1997 film Jack Frost.
Wait, so you're picking the first one?
Yes.
Oh no!
They're both they're both great, but you need the origin story before you watch it. They don't stand on their own, unfortunately. Yes, you do.
No, you don't. Oh my god! I fucking hate this first Jack Frost. We're not talking about the Michael Keaton one, by the way, even though that one's like
the same year,
equally horrible. But this one is just atrocious.
This not
one's offensive.
Movie. No, it's not.
Yeah. Are you the shower scene?
There's one scene.
The carrot. The naked woman.
That's the one scene that I will say is offensive, but the majority of the rest of the movie, it's crazy. This is a movie about a serial killer who gets caught in a snowstorm as he's going to the town of Snowmington, where they like lock him up and like they're trying to lock him up in prison forever, and then they crash their car because it's snowy and they can't see the road, and the guy escapes. But unfortunately, the car they crashed into is a chemical truck, and the acid gets released and melts him and melds him with the snow, and he becomes a mutant killer snowman. So this movie is basically a comedy. The kills are hilarious. They're levels of late Friday the 13th, late Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's honestly like terribly acted, terribly plotted, but every moment of this movie is hilarious. Every single one.
I don't know. This one, I'm more miserable in this one than Jack Frost 2, which is why I would put that as a guilty pleasure. Like, at least that one's so, like, they go to the Bahamas.
I think Jack Frost 2 is a better movie.
It is a better movie because it's more entertaining than this one, I would say. Which is why I put on a guilty pleasure. But I'm glad we're finally talking about Jack Frost on this podcast. A great classic. I think that has entered into my top 10 worst films of all time. It's just so, I can't even tell you anything about the human characters, like other than the snowman. They're incredibly flat. They're lifeless beings. They're a husk of a man. And then there's just this horrible puppet snowman who spears people with icicles and stuff like that. And there's like 13 different endings to this movie. They're like, they think they've got him. They're like, we did it, and like he just keeps coming back, and I'm like, God, please end this.
It's like a Child's Play movie where like Chucky won't die, But I mean, like this movie is just so insane. The guy who plays the serial killer is totally like a Bruce Campbell wannabe. Like I rewatched parts of this movie for this podcast, and I was telling you, there's direct lines between Ash and this guy.
I remember like when you showed us this movie for movie night, I had no idea what to expect, and even to this day, I have yet to meet anyone other than like people in film studies for whatever reason, who have seen this movie. Anytime any of us bring up the name Jack Frost as a movie, everyone immediately thinks of the Michael Keaton movie for good reason. But it's just like,
yeah,
God, this movie is insane. And like but like this movie really fits the bill in terms of like, awful movies that are just terrible but so much fun. It's just so off the rails, and like a perfect movie night if you're just trying to kick back and have a good time.
Spread some Christmas cheer.
Yeah, it's a
Didn't we watch it around Christmas? I feel like we did.
Yeah, I think we did.
I think I saw the trailer and I showed Chris the trailer and he's like, we got to watch this over movie night. And when you came over, we were like, let's do this one. And then we were going to do Jack Frost 2 another time.
Yeah.
Because there was a second one and we didn't know about that until after the first one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the reason why film studies kids see it is because every film studies kid is like a film horror. Like we'll try and watch any movie that's at least like a good time, Like we don't try and watch bad movies. We end up doing it anyway, but okay. Okay. But I think we'll get our hands on anything that's like rare or funny or just crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
I'm loving this podcast so far. Lots of great picks.
This is great.
Lots of great picks. All right. My number
it's
2.
on Amazon Prime, by the way.
Yes.
Check it out.
Everyone watch it. I also think Ratchettoing is on Amazon Prime. Shout out. Oh man. My second pick is a notorious film. Similar up there with Batman and Robin, I believe. Of an established property, I'd say. And I think this film completely tarnished an already dead genre where a studio would not make any films based on their properties until last year. And that movie is the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, God.
I'm so sad none of you have seen this masterpiece, this fucking enigma of a film. Would you be shocked if I told you like one of the biggest inspirations for the Super Mario Brothers movie is Blade Runner?
Yeah, actually. That's
It's
surprising.
so fucked. So the story follows
Neo-noir.
The story follows as this. At the time of the dinosaurs, when the meteor hits, right? It didn't kill all the dinosaurs. It just took them to another dimension, right? And in this dimension, these dinosaurs evolved into human beings, into human-like beings, right? Not only dinosaurs, but mushrooms as well. So in this timeline, there's this king mushroom person who's evolved from mushrooms, but he looks like a normal dude. And this is where the evil King Koopa, played by Dennis Hopper, by the way. Dennis Hopper plays King Koopa, Bowser. King Koopa invents this technology that allows you to de-evolve. So he de-evolves the king into these fungus that just looks like slime. It doesn't even look like mushrooms. It's so weird. And as this happens, the king sends away his daughter, not Princess Peach, Princess Daisy from Super Mario Land for the Game Boy. Not even the most popular princess. I don't even know why they chose Daisy. He sends Daisy to the other dimension because there's like a gateway, right? So he sends Daisy to the gateway, and the rest of the movie plots King Koopa trying to kill Daisy for some reason. I don't remember why. I'm always pretty drunk when I watch this movie. And then, of course, we have our heroes, Bob Hoskins as Mario. That's his full name. It's Mario. And then John Leguizamo as Luigi Mario. So they come in, they go to this dinosaur dystopian world that looks like Blade Runner had sex with Mad Max, fucking Road Warrior, and Mario Brothers. It's so weird. It's so dark and twisted. It's a fascinating film to study. I want to watch a documentary of the making of this film, like what people are going through. It's Super Mario Brothers movies. You two got to check it out.
But I'm not a big Mario fan.
It doesn't. You like New Super Mario Brothers Wii? That I know.
And I do like Smash Bros. Well, but like.
And guess what? The people who made this movie weren't Mario Brothers fans either, because it doesn't feel like anything like the Mario we all know and love. That happy.
Oh, so you're saying I'll love it?
I think if you love this movie, I would be shocked. You like come out like, yeah, that's a 3.5-star film. I really enjoyed that one. Oh my god. But yeah, Mario Brothers. Chris, what do you think about Mario?
Like as a character?
At the movie, whatever,
No,
anything. Talk about Mario.
As your father. Yes, as your dad.
I love that. My favorite thing about like Mario is like he's what I could like to call like a panda in terms of like being so multicultural. Made by a Japanese guy, Italian, speaks English, all of these different like cultures coming together.
I've never thought about it like this. We're really deconstructing Mario on this episode.
Mario is a melting pot.
Yeah, Mario is a melting pot of culture. He's a diversity icon. Anyway, but yeah, Mario's fun. Honestly, like the Nintendo games were not something I like hold like very closely to my childhood because I was more of an Xbox kind of guy. But yeah, like Mario was always fun. The extent of my experience with Mario is either the original, like I'm just trying to think like what was my. Well, I do remember playing Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
That's a great game.
That was great.
Which one?
Mario Kart, obviously. And like I played a little bit of Mario Odyssey.
Amazing game.
But no, he's like plenty of fun. I like you said, Ethan. I don't like you mentioned that this does not feel at all like the Mario we know, which sounds like an awful thing. But within the parameters of our prompt, that might actually be a really funny thing and a really great choice.
It's such a 180 from what Mario actually is that you just can't help but like have a good time with whose fucking idea this was. It's like it's a common thing in video game movies of the 90s. I don't know if y'all have seen enough of them, but like Double Dragon, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, they all have like this weird post-apocalyptic grunge to it that they just for some reason like, oh, video games, teenagers play them. It's got to be edgy. It's got to be an edgy movie, but it's also got to be sci-fi. So let's add like a little post-apocalyptic to it. But they took that with Mario, and
I'm avoiding all of the 90s video game movies though. So
you
like
will not avoid this one. I have it on DVD. I got it at Best Buy for $1. I got it from,
Hey Ethan.
Yeah.
Ethan. I disagree.
Boo! You disagree that I bought it at Best Buy for $1?
No, that
you're
I'm
right. It was
watch
probably $3. No, you will watch it. I'm gonna make this happen. You should actually watch Mortal Kombat, the first one. That one's kind of fun. It's not good, but it's fun. It's not a guilty pleasure, but it's fun.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my number 2. Wahoo! It takes a character that goes wahoo, yahoo, ha ha, to hey Luigi, everybody's got tap water. What the fuck is going on here? That's Mario Brothers movie. That's my number 2. Anyways, Chris, let's guide us into your third and final.
Okay. Actually kind of like swaying between a couple of different movies, but there were eventually, before we started recording this podcast, I was locked into the last 2 for that third spot, and it was just cemented. I think I know which one I want to pick. It's actually a sequel to a movie we already chose.
Wait, really? Ratatouille 2. It's Jack Frost 2.
Pretty much everything we said about the original movie stands with this. Really, the only difference is new characters, new exciting, fun characters, better kills for sure. But the main thing is this movie takes place on a tropical island, not in a snowed out city. So raising the stakes, like that's what you do with a sequel. And this movie
doesn't take place during Christmas.
Does it? I think it does.
I don't know.
He's trying to get away from because he's having PTSD because only the main character and his wife
Oh,
are the repeat characters for this movie, and he's trying to get away from the PTSD of Jack Frost, but if somehow, some way, Jack Frost finds a way to get to this Bahamian island or whatever.
Yeah. Jack Frost is like his powers
them.
are insane. Like he now is not only has control of ice but also water, which obviously is not great for a tropical island.
Oh no, he's like the Final Destination death character.
The kills are better, they're more gruesome, but still like lighthearted and cheesy. One-liners galore. It's just all of the bad things you love about the first one translated into the second and dialed up to 11. I remember, I'm trying to think, like, was there like a specific moment in this movie that we were particularly like going crazy over when we watched it?
The baby snowman.
Yeah.
That
my god,
he makes a bunch of babies. And those are like the main enemy for the rest of the film, are just this swarm of these tiny snowmen that are just like these.
But there's like one good one.
Yeah, there's one good one, but there's these tiny pissed off snowmen. They're like, and they just go fucking ham. And it's, I'm glad you picked this one, Chris. This is the superior, more fun, but also I think equally bad, but more fun to watch Jack Frost.
I think they're both quality guilty pleasure movies, and Jack Frost 2 was on my list. It was like I just was trying to debate whether or not you should.
You were gonna put them both.
I thought about it,
hey,
but I didn't.
We could do it for our final one. We'll see.
Yeah, you might notice that when Brandon, when you started talking about Jack Frost, I just started wimping, like just like going. Or like, it's just so much fun.
Still waiting on the third one though. That post credit.
Let's make it.
Yeah, we should do it.
Let's buy the rights to Jack Frost. No, he's probably a copyright free character, but
the director like retired, like he's done.
Let's ask his permission.
Let's coax him. Let's coax him out of retirement.
All right, this is the end game for this podcast. If we don't have a Jack Frost 3 by the time this podcast ends, this podcast won't end until there's a Jack Frost 3. It could be made by someone else. It could be made by us. Maybe we have to take this into our own hands, but mark my words, Jack Frost 3 will come out.
Honestly, I think Jack Frost 2 is like just a better movie, like not just like it's better made. It's more cheaply made for sure, but like it's just better. Like the characters' motivations make sense. I'm bullshitting you guys.
Yeah.
It's not.
But I will agree with the kills are a lot more creative in Jack Frost 2.
Oh yeah,
because in the first Jack Frost, it felt like sneak up, stab with icicle, or freeze person with cold stuff
and bathtub.
Yeah, but this one's like the tiny snowmen. I remember he tricks this person into dropping icicles or something on them on the beach. Remember that?
Yeah, like they were hanging off like a tree, and like he got them to walk under the tree.
Yeah, a palm tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
he drops an entire tree on them, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. We should make it a thing to revisit those Jack Frost movies during the holiday season.
I kind of want to. I enjoyed both of them.
I'd
like to get the group on this. I think they'd love it.
Yes,
we need to get everyone else. That would be so much fun. And now that we're
because they don't know the excellence.
Yeah, and now that we're 21, we can fucking legally intoxicate ourselves to this movie. It'll be great.
That's true.
Oh yes, I wasn't expecting this to be the Jack Frost hour on Stacked, but here we are talking about both Jack Frost movies. All right, Brandon, hit us with the number 3.
I am shocked that you guys didn't pick this movie.
Oh boy, what is it?
It's an all-time classic. It's The Room, baby.
The Room.
The Room. I knew I thought the reason I didn't is because I thought someone else would.
It's just this is the classic guilty pleasure movie.
Yeah.
It's terribly written, terribly edited, terribly scored, yet every moment of it is hilarious. Like I remembered thinking, it's just like the rooftop scene because that's what everybody talks about. But like, no, there's the flower shop scene where he goes in and pets a dog.
Hi, Dougie.
There's the scene where there's an underrated scene where Denny is held at gunpoint and everybody just shows up. Every one of the main characters just shows up.
I love this scene.
He's trying to buy drugs or something, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, every scene in this movie is just so good. I mean, it loses steam at the end a little bit, but that's because it's trying so hard to be dramatic. And
I think it loses steam during those sex scenes. Oh my god.
Yeah. And
Those are like
the 5-minute long.
Yes, they're like 5-minute
Full
full
song.
music video sex scenes, and it's just so uncomfortable to watch. I watched this movie. I shared it with my parents because The Disaster Artist was coming out and they wanted to see it. So we watched this movie together, and everyone was screaming and flailing around, putting pillows on their faces during those sex scenes. It was the worst. But like, I totally understand why this film was brought up. I didn't personally include it because it's like what hasn't been said about The Room. You know, it's achieved such a cultural status as an infamously bad film that I kind of wanted to like spotlight some other movies that aren't necessarily talked about as much as The Room. But yeah, this is always a great time. Has anyone seen this in a theater with people?
I've seen it with friends
Because there's always
like,
those Room
just like
events
in-
at
right.
theaters. I got to go to one of those.
Yeah, me too. I should go.
Well, now let's do it now.
Let's do it right now. Let's open it up. Let's all let in like
Corona
200
theater.
people. Let's all just get sick and die while watching The Room.
I mean, like you guys have heard about like the shit they do in the theater. Like they throw like plastic spoons and whatever at the screen and stuff. It's all
the
fun.
first time I met Joey and Tori, they had a screening in Tori's room of The Room.
Oh yeah.
And it was like the first week of before college started. And that was the first time I met him.
Well, there you go.
And we threw spoons at the screen. We yelled at the screen. It was a good time. It was like 6 or 7 of us packed into one dorm.
That's great.
But yeah, it was
That's
a good time.
great. Yeah, Brent, I love how you characterize that scene with Danny buying drugs as like, what was the word you used? Like, I don't know, use like a word, like you said, like amazing. I love this scene, and like the way you said it's like the Avengers coming together because all the characters are finally together in the same room. And then like I love how chaotic it is. Like Lisa's trying to pull Danny away from the drug dealer. Tommy and his best friend are tackling the guy. The mother is scolding Danny, and he's like, "You're not my fucking mother.
You're not my fucking mother." Yeah. Oh my god.
Why do you take drugs? I don't take drugs. I just sell them.
Yeah, and oh my god, there's so many quotable moments throughout this movie that still are funny to this day.
I'm sick of this
One
world.
Yeah, it's like, don't touch me, motherfucker, get out. I love the part where at the end, spoiler alert for The Room, when Lisa and Mark find his Tommy Wiseau's body, and he has like a gun hole in the back of his head. She looks at him and says, "Is he dead?" And everyone's like,
There's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You killed him. And like Mark does a complete 180 at the end of this movie, and he's like, "I don't want you anymore." Like Andy in Toy Story 2.
No, it's like in like extraterrestrial, like, but not the Steven Spielberg one. Pod people, if you will. And it's like, no, Trumpy, go away. You ruin everything.
You'll never have me.
Funny you should bring up that movie, Chris.
Oh dear.
Because my final film in my stack is 1983's Pod People. I
respect it.
Come on. It's such an endearing film and so fucking bizarre and awful. It's a Spanish film. It's Spanish French.
And it's dubbed in English.
It's dubbed in English. Some of the characters are. Some of them aren't.
Yeah.
So it's
kind
of like a spaghetti western, but done really, really bad. But it's an E.T. ripoff about like these they're called the Pod People, right? And but they look like, what are they look like anteater.
Yeah.
They look like you dressed up a kid in an anteater costume, you know, with like this paper mache mask and this
that he can't see out of.
it's like the top half of an anteater on the lower half of an Ewok, right? Is that a
Yeah, I agree.
And they got superpowers like ET, so they can like psychically manipulate stuff, but they can also like warp the reality that you're seeing. Remember when he looks into the telescope?
Yeah.
And he sees like lions and like giraffes and stuff, and he's like, "What?" But I discovered this film through, I think a lot of guilty pleasures can be discovered through Mystery Science Theater 3000. This is
I almost picked some for this list.
There's a great catalog of films you can pick from. But this one is not only one of my favorite guilty pleasures, but it is my favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode. Like, I always just quote them when I watch this film. Like, I feel like it's mandatory to watch that commentary at some point after you've seen the film, or you can watch it before. But it's so quotable, and like it's so fun to like reenact what they say while watching this film. Like, "Trumpy, you do stupid things," or "Huzzah!" when that like hunter
Huzzah.
dude like there's like these hunters that like you're supposed to like not really care about, but like fear, and they immediately just get like knocked off by an angry pod person, you know. And whenever
but not Trump.
Yeah, whenever they get killed, there's like they have like some light braille on their forehead or some shit, and it's just like, what is going on? There's some really sick synth music. I want the soundtrack to Pod People. It's so fucking slick and like cosmic.
You already have the DVD.
Yeah, I could just try to rip it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, led us to our best movie of all time, Cannibal Taboo.
Oh my god, damn it. Yeah,
that one's
the extras on Pod People or something else led us to this film called Cannibal Taboo, which it's an incest porno cannibal movie. Satanic cannibal movie. That it's so funny. We watched this, we're like, this film does not exist. Flash forward a couple months later, I was at Fry's Electronics, and it was on sale for $5 on Blu-ray. They put that shit on Blu-ray. They like, we got to remaster this shit. We got high definition. So I immediately bought it and I gave it to Brandon for Christmas. It was like the perfect gift.
We were so shocked.
We sat down by the fire and we just enjoyed some Cannibal Taboo together. We endured it. It is honestly the most. I can't even say that's a guilty pleasure. That's probably it's now the second most miserable experience of watching a film I've had. Behind, I watched LaQuisha a couple weeks ago.
Oh, right.
I don't even want to get into that. That's for another time. Maybe if we do a worst stacked, you know.
It's in my top 2 worst movies of all time.
My top 2 as well.
So.
Anyways, why are we talking about Cannibal Taboo? Pod People. Pod People is such an amazing film. It's so bad. I love it so much. Put up that okay sign. It stinks. The movie speaks for itself. It's an okay sign saying it stinks. What's more guilty pleasure than that? You know, what's more of a definition of a guilty pleasure than that?
That's fair.
Ethan, didn't you do a presentation on this movie for our horror film class?
Yeah, so Chris and I took a horror film class, and we had to give a presentation on, we had to pick a film and present on at least 10 horror tropes that the film goes through. So I was like, Doc, this is my chance. I'm going to present on Pod People and share this with the world. So I did. I made the presentation and everything. But unfortunately, we weren't able to present on it. But my plan was I was going to dress up as nice as I could that day. We presented them in front of our film school theater, the Foligno Theater. And I was going to have Chris get a snap of me, like, looking like I'm giving a TED Talk with Pod People in the background. And that would have been the ultimate photo. I'm so sad that our professor didn't let us present them. But
that would have been your profile picture on Letterboxd, Twitter, everything.
It would have been so great. But yeah, the legacy of Pod People for me is just, it's one that,
terrible E.T. ripoff.
Yeah, it's my most favorite, like, so bad it's good movie. I could watch it anytime and pick up new things, enjoy old lines, you know. I love it. I love Pod People.
It's so weird to me that there are certain movies that it's just the first time you watch them, But for like Pod People, The Room, stuff like that, like no matter how many times you watch it, like you'll get entertainment out of it. Like whether it's the same old lines or just weird dialogue or camera cues that you don't notice the first time you watch it.
Right.
And that's what really hits home.
Ugh.
MST3K rules, by the way.
Yes. Everyone, please enjoy yourself with some MST3K on Netflix. All right.
Mhm.
There we go. What a fun group of films we got here. This is going to be really hard. I'm really struggling with how we're going to put this together.
Yeah.
All right. Let's all run down our 3 films, like just going one at a time so we can all be refreshed. Chris, give us your 3.
Okay, so my 3 were Batman and Robin, Jack Frost 2, and my first one was Paul Blart Mall Cop. The first one.
Right.
Amazing movie.
Brandon, hit us with your 3.
My number 1 was Battleship. My number 2 is Jack Frost, and my number 3 is The Room.
All right. And my 3, number 1 is Ratatouille. Number 2 is the Super Mario Brothers movie. And number 3 is Pod People. Oh, what a great collection of films. All right, boys. Anybody got a stacked pitch? Anybody got Brandon?
I do.
Hit us.
I do. I don't know the order, but I have one that I think could make us all happy.
Right.
I think Pod People and The Room should be on this list, and I also think Jack Frost 2 should be on this list.
That's good. I'm glad you picked Jack Frost 2 over the first one. That one's more fun, I believe.
I know Brandon might not be inclined to do this, but how would you feel about switching out Jack Frost 2 for Batman and Robin? I think that's a lot funnier to watch. Plus,
I'm gonna come to Chris's defense here. We want this to be a season-round marathon. You know, sometimes you're not really feeling Jack Frost 2 because it's not the holidays, you know. But Batman and Robin, that's something.
Batman and Robin does take place in Christmas, I think.
It does?
I think it does, yeah.
Because it's snow and ice. Yeah, it does take place around Christmas because it's like isn't her Christmas wish to like have Alfred alive or something?
Okay.
See how funny this movie is.
It's painful. Like I want it to be as painless as possible for the people watching this marathon.
Okay, I feel like, though I do agree with Brandon, we got to have a Jack Frost on this list. Like
I agree.
Just like pandemic movies where we had to have a Planet of the Apes, you know, we got to have a Jack Frost. So what about this? What if we start with Batman and Robin, right? Like Brandon will get that one out of the way. His misery will be over. And then let's put in the first Jack Frost, you know, some holiday season cheer and murders. And then let's finish up with one we've all seen and enjoy together, Pod People. What do you think about
that? I know I'm going to screw Brandon over with this, but isn't Jack Frost 2 better than Jack Frost 1?
Yes.
It is, but I'm compromising here, Chris. This is the art of the deal here.
I enjoy both of them fairly equally. I just think that Jack Frost 2 is a better movie.
You think Jack Frost 1 is more of a guilty pleasure than Jack Frost 2?
Yeah. I do. So
How about this?
Okay, he's got another stack.
How about we start
Battleship?
With Battleship. Because that movie sounds fucking insane. I've never seen it. And then we do Jack Frost 2. We come out of the water to the shory beaches of the Bahamas and get killed by snowmen. And then we leave these beaches and go into the forest to play with these pod people, to play with Trumpy. What do we think about that?
I like that.
All right, I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that?
You are okay with that, Chris? Are you sure, Chris? You gonna argue with us? Do it.
No, I'll do
You'll
it.
do it?
Okay.
I think that's okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. Let's run it down. Brandon, you want to start us off?
Yeah.
With our number 1.
Surprisingly making the list. Battleship. A fantastic alien invasion movie that pokes fun at the game of Battleship in the best possible way. There's many different subplots. This is a apology for Pearl Harbor, and I love it.
The worst apology for Pearl Harbor.
Chris?
Our second one is was it? It's like I think it was made in the 2000s by Michael Cooney. It is Jack Frost 2, an amazing sequel to an awful movie. Actually, well, an equally awful movie to sequel an awful movie. But you know what? That's totally fine. Plenty of fun, and nothing wrong with that.
And our final film to end this insanity of a marathon. We stayed up all night watching all this schlock and having the time of our lives. And we finally reached the final film of this triple feature of guilty pleasure Valhalla. And that's Pod People. I don't even know who directs this movie. Who directed this movie?
I don't know.
We got Juan Piquer Simon. That's the director of Pod People. He made a fantastic film full of love, compassion, fear, wonder, anxiety, lost loves, ruined loves, love triangles, little freaky anteater people that can do psychic shit. And there's nothing really else to say there. Pod People, the final film in our guilty pleasure film stack. We did it. We made our stack. We had this was a blast talking about these films. It makes me want to revisit a lot of these and visit a lot of these for the first time. I got to check out Battleship now. Like
we got it. You know what? Is on Netflix or anything like that?
Ethan, do you know? You wouldn't know.
Why would I know? I've never seen Battleship.
Yeah, why would you ask him of all people?
Herb, Ethan, you know every movie that's on every streaming. Here, I'll look it up right now. Okay.
I mean, I have it on DVD.
Yeah, I want to watch it with you guys. So when we get all back together, let's throw on some Battleship. We
can do our own guilty pleasure marathon.
Yeah. We could try. Let's try this triple feature down the line sometimes. I don't know.
I'm down.
I need to now watch Paul Blart. I've seen Paul Blart too, but now I need to see the epic origins of this character, Chris. Thank you for bringing him up.
That is very tormented, internalized, emotional, melancholic, melodramatic character.
And now a new goal of mine is to share with you two Ratchetouille and the Super Mario Brothers movie. Two quality pieces of intellectual cinema. I think our film professors would be proud with this list, with these films that we've discussed today. And that's gonna do it. That's the show. That's it. That's all. Good night, Jay Leno.